shall not fear the arrow by day, nor shall I fear the terror by night. The God who governs angel armies has set encampments around me. Whom shall I fear? I shall not fear the arrow by day, nor shall I fear the terror by night. The God who governs angel armies has set encampments around me. Shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? The God who governs. Around me. I'm not afraid. All is well. All is because I know that all is well. All is well. I'm not afraid, for I cried to the Lord, and He heard me and delivered me from all of my fear. All is well. Say, I'm not afraid. Through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for all is well. So I can shout about it now. All is well. I'm not afraid. All is well. Standing on the promises of Christ, my King, through eternal ages, let His praises ring. Glory in the highest, I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Oh, standing on the promises, I cannot fall. Oh, listening every moment to the Spirit. Oh, I'm resting in my Savior. He is my all and all. Oh, I'm connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Are we all right, Mr. Engineer? We're okay. All right. Good afternoon. I'm looking funny like this because that music wasn't quite right. And my engineer was right over there. So we do appreciate him getting everything straight. Good afternoon. You've tuned in to Ask Elaine. This is your talk and information program. I think we're one of the best. We certainly make you smarter every time you listen in because we try to bring you information that's going to help you to live a more successful life and also help you to share information with other folks to help them as well. This is your voice, Water Board member Elaine Lucas, and we have our special co host, none other than Mr. Herbert Denard. And we have there he is. And we appreciate him doing the show. Was that last week? My week's all getting all
Last week.
yeah, last week. I was I was in the hospital up until Tuesday, from Saturday until Tuesday, and y'all's prayers helped me to get out of there. That's not a fun place to be. But Miss Denard, and then you had Michael Harvey, Harold Michael Harvey on, and they presented some wonderful information. But we've got a real guest for you today. None other than all of our favorite attorney Virgil Adams. And he's going to bring some information today. Y'all, we were in a conference this weekend, and it was such a wonderful conference. It was sponsored by the NAACP. And the guest presenter was none other than attorney Virgil Adams. And Herbert Denard, I was talking about sharing the video of the presentation, but Herbert suggested that we ask the attorney to come on the show and share in person all of the wonderful information. The information was on wills and trusts, financial maneuvers, those kinds of things. And we thought that, what better person to have on? And now, the attorney is very busy helping to keep some of y'all out of jail, and me and Herbert and everybody out of trouble, and making folks do right and all that sort of stuff. So we were very fortunate to have him. We want to welcome those of you who've joined us on AM, on FM, and those who are watching us right here on the Glory Live. And we want to compliment WDDO, historic WDDO Apostle Vertiz Rozier, and the Bishop Don H. Scott, for always being supportive, and for our engineer, Tony Jackson for being here to support what we try to do for the community. We want to welcome Miss West Lewis. We want to welcome Randy Crawford. And the rest of the gang is on the way. We know. Y'all, please hit like and share to alert others that we are on the air, that they are about to miss out on some wonderful information. And so, Wade Horton has joined us. Wade is our resident hero. Attorney Adams, I don't know whether you know Wade Horton or not, but he's a big old guy, used to work on the sheriff's department. He is blind.
Okay.
But he goes to every transit authority meeting and he knows the laws and all that stuff. And they hate to see him coming.
I think I know
And
what you're
then
talking about.
I'm right behind him with my finger up, and he is just a wonderful, wonderful citizen, as are all the others who call in. But y'all hit like and share to let people know that Ask Elaine is on the air. We are so glad to have you there. We want to express our thanks to our sponsors. We also want to express our condolences to the families of those who've lost loved ones or who have suffered tragedy. We want to express our condolences to the what you call Washington, D.C. It is not a state. It's not what would they
Yeah, it's
Good.
not a state, I guess.
District.
700,000 people living in an area.
Yeah, it's a
District
Yeah.
is a district. Should have been a state
Yeah.
years ago. But you know who makes up Washington, D.C. And we want to express our condolences to them because they've got a lot to deal with. But they're going to come out okay. They really are. And we want to express our congratulations to those who've graduated, those who've gotten married, those who, some folks might want to be thankful for getting a divorce. I don't know. But anyway, we want to express our heartfelt feelings toward all of you and all of our listeners. Wade says, I'm good friends with Nicole and Damien, and your sister was like a mother to me. So y'all
Thank
do
you.
know each other. Good afternoon, Wade. You hang in there, and I'm gonna see you at the next transit authority meeting because we've got some things to discuss down there. So with that, Herbert, thank you for being my co-host this week, and thank you for filling in uh, last week. We want to go to the attorney right away because we know all of you have. You're just eager to hear the information that he's going to share with us. And so, welcome, welcome. And for those two people who might not know who you are, would you reintroduce yourself to Macon Bibb and then just tell us a little bit about your background? Because
Sure.
it's such an interesting background. And then we're going to go into the topic for the day, which is wills and trusts. And welcome to Ask Elaine.
Thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here. Uh, Thrilled to be here just to talk to the community, but also to be in the presence of two people I have a whole lot of respect for, and that's Elaine Lucas and Herbert Denard. And of course, the missing person is David Lucas.
We appreciate that.
But yeah, I grew up in Macon. I was born on Riverside Drive. If people know where the Waffle House is,
Mhm.
heading downtown, we lived in a rental house right there on Riverside Drive. And when I was in the sixth grade, we moved to Plant Street. So I spent most of my childhood on Plant Street. Walked to Central High School every day, and before then, I walked to Ballard Hudson Junior High every day. Graduated from Central and went to Albany State University. Graduated from Albany State and came home and went to law school at Mercer. And when I graduated from Mercer, I got a job while I was still at Mercer volunteering. I offered to volunteer at the district attorney's office because they had a good friend of mine who's an assistant, Louis Sands. And I asked if I could just come down and volunteer because I was working with the Upward Bound program during the summer and had some spare time. But I came down, volunteered. The next year they gave me a job as a law student. And then when I graduated, they created a position for me as an assistant DA.
Y'all.
So
hints.
So I did that for almost 8 years as a prosecutor, and then went out into private practice with the late Charles Mathis. We'd known each other since childhood. Louis Sands, who's now senior United States District Judge in Albany, and Jimmy Jordan. And we created Mathis, Sands, Jordan, and Adams. And from that firm, we have evolved today to Adams, Jordan, and Harrington. And what's really interesting is our office is now located at 915 Hill Park, which is the Whittle building. Yeah. It's an old school that sits at the foot of Coleman Hill, and it was built in 1897 for kids of the white orphanage in Bibb County. But it was there when I was growing up on Riverside Drive, Waffle House. So I had no idea that at some point I would circle back to the neighborhood, so to speak. So, that's really interesting. And I'm just fortunate to have had people, in my life to help me along the way. Strong mother, grandmother, my sister, not with a father, so not unlike a lot of people. But I'll say one other interesting story, and then we'll move on to questions. The summer before I started law school, had to buy books. So I had to get a job to do that. And I got a job working in customer service at Sears Roebuck at the old Macon Mall. And there was a real nice lady there who taught me everything I needed to know. And that was Berdine Denard. Herbert's his late wife. And the best thing she taught me was how to wrap gifts. And man, to this day, I'm a mean gift wrapper.
Oh, we know where to come.
But she taught me how to do that. But I always remember her as being, one of the people that helped me sort of get going too.
Oh, that is so nice. So nice. We want to say good afternoon to George Thomas Jr., who works with Newtown Macon, and I understand has run for office several times and really made a good showing. I mean, he's wearing them down.
He's a good man.
And I understand is still interested in running for office. And then we want to say hello to Patrick Davis. Good afternoon to you. Patrick does our stats. And if there's anything that you ever mention and you look in the chat, you'll see an expose on what you talked about. And we want to say hello to Patrick. Patrick, we missed you. We need to always hear from you. So we want to welcome everybody. But Herbert, did you have? Go ahead.
Why is it important to have a will?
Yeah, let me first of all say that, in our practice, we deal primarily with personal injury litigation, people who were seriously hurt in accidents, medical malpractice, that sort of thing. But invariably in our practice, especially when we got, unfortunately, a wrongful death case, that wills and estate, and probate, all that comes into play. So although we don't do that specifically ourselves, but we have attorneys who that's what they do all day, every day. But a will is extremely important. And I've said this before, two of the biggest fights I've ever seen as an attorney was when somebody got divorced and they were fighting over property. And the other, when someone died and there was no will. Because I like to tell people, if you don't have a will, you die and you don't have a will, the state of Georgia will write one for you. The purpose of a will is to keep down, let me just put it this way, keep down mess when you die, because a will is real simple. It's just a writing witnessed by two people that expresses what you would like to have done, what you want done with the property that you own when you die, what you want to have done with your estate. And people may say, well, I don't own anything. I don't have an estate. We all have an estate.
Yeah.
The clothes on your back, they're part of your estate because they're property that you own, and you will own at the time that you decease. So when you have a will, you name an executor or an executrix in the in the sense of a female, and that person is responsible for doing what you say you want done with your property in your will. Sometimes people say, well, it's just me and my wife, or me and my husband, so everything's gonna go to me. I don't need a will. Well, that's not true. It may get to you, but it's just going to complicate the process, because now you don't have a will that you can go into probate court and get probated through a simple process. The state of Georgia, as I said, will write one. So what you have to do then, you have to file a petition in the probate court of Bibb County for letters of administration. In other words, to get appointed as the administrator of the estate, so that you would have the right to do what the executor would do if there was a will. But that's just other hoops to jump through. The other thing about having a will too is it can create issues that you don't otherwise think may come up. Let's say you're married and you've got a child, but you don't have a will. Okay, your heirs are going to be your spouse and your child. But let's say you got a home and the house is titled in your deceased spouse. Let's say the husband is deceased and the house is in the husband's name, and the husband leaves a wife and a child. The wife may think, well, okay, automatically I got the house now, it's mine now. No, it's still in the husband's name when he deceased. So what has to happen then is, if there's no will, again, spouse has to petition probate court to get appointed as the administrator, because what she has to do then is get the house in her name. So she'll have to petition the probate court and go through the process of getting a deed done that will convey the interest in the house to her. One other problem with that, because her name was not on the deed and it was solely titled in the husband's name, and she's an heir and the kid is an heir, technically she's going to own a half interest in the house, no less than a third interest in the house, and the kid could own the other part. So you have to work through all those kinds of hoops to make sure that the title eventually gets in the wife's name. And it can be done, but it just creates other issues. I have also seen issues where you've got, let's say, a husband who lives with a woman, has been living with this woman for many, many years, but was married many, many years ago and never got a divorce. Never had any more.
So much for the side piece. You get nothing. I'm sorry.
But no problem. But let's say they had no contact at all, but he just never got a divorce. And then he dies and he's got property or whatever. Well, the wife is the heir, not the woman that he was living with, even though he may have promised her, you got everything's going to you when I die. If it's not in a will, it's not there. And that's just the way it works. So it's real important, to have a will, and it can be a simple will where it's just straightforward, or if you got some significant kinds of assets or house or whatever, and there's some specific things you want done and specific people you want to have something, that's what a will does for you. In the place of a will, or in addition to a will, you can have what we call a trust. And
that's a question that Patrick has on there. Which is more powerful, a will or a trust?
I wouldn't necessarily say one is more powerful than the other, but they just do different things. The trust can kind of take a will. Let me put it this way: trust can take a will to another level. In other words, let's say you've got a child that has some sort of uh, mental health issue,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or retardation or anything like that. And when you die, you want some specific provisions for that child. You can do that in a trust. Let's say you got some property that you want to be distributed in a certain way. You got a minor child, but you don't want that property to go directly to the minor child when you die, but you'd like for it to be distributed uh, over a period of time. For example, when we have a case, let's say there's a trucking accident and someone's killed, and they leave behind a minor child, whether they're married or not married, but they've got a minor child. And let's say we're able to resolve that case for 7 figures, millions of dollars. Well, you can't give that money directly to the child, although the child is the sole heir. The money doesn't go to the mother of the child either, because you all were not married, okay? Or even if you were married, that child still has an interest. Well, what happens in that instance is we create a structure for the child and use a trust to do that. And what that trust document will say is, um, to the extent the child needs something right now, all of the property that's going to the child, all of the money is going to be held by a trust. And we're talking about a corporate trust. We're not talking about somebody who's a friend that's going to be none of that.
Yeah.
Typically a bank or a financial institution. And they will have a trustee, that will be the trustee. And what their job would be is to provide what that child needs while the child is a minor. If child needs back to school clothes, that sort of thing, it could also provide for decent housing for the child. And then when the child turns 18, a certain amount of money would be paid out to the child. Maybe when the child it becomes an adult and turns 25, there's an amount, 30, and you can just stretch it out however you want to do it. Rather than if you just had a will, then all of a sudden when you die, here's this lump sum you're giving to somebody. So,
and folks don't know how to handle. A lot of people don't know how to handle.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what a trust. That's what a trust can do for you.
All right. James Murphy is on with us. He says he just went through that process, and at each step, these different things that you have to do, attorney, isn't a portion of the proceeds, the money, isn't it going to these different places to provide those services? So it causes all your resources to kind of get.
Exactly. And that's why you need to make sure that you see an attorney who does this, and you can put that will together and have it so when you're deceased, there's really no fight about anything, or not a whole lot of complications. And you want what you want to see done with the property to take place.
Right.
And let me point this out. Some people also may be familiar with what we call a power of attorney. That's important too. A power of attorney gives someone else who you designate the ability to do what you otherwise can do. It could be a limited power of attorney just to handle specific things. It could be a power of attorney that gives someone the authority to handle your financial affairs. You can designate someone to make the medical decisions for you if you become incapacitated, and we call that an advance directive. But they can be kind of tied together. And you can think about a power of attorney in this instance too. Let's say you're traveling. A lot of us travel now. Let's say you decide, I'd like to go to Africa. I'd like to go to Europe or whatever. I'm going to be gone 2-3 weeks. Well, it's a little bit better with the internet now that you can do some things. But let's say there's something that needs to be taken care of at home that you can't handle while you're gone. You could actually do a limited power of attorney to someone to give them the ability to handle that while you're gone, and it just terminates at a time when you're back. So you can do that. Some people may think a power of attorney survives death. It does not. That's when the will kicks in. So
Mm.
power of attorney is the person giving you the authority to act for them while they are in life.
Yeah, there's another question. How long does it take typically to receive a letter of administration?
It just sort of depends because you have to run an advertisement in the paper. So I would just say on the average, you're looking at 45 days, maybe 60 days, but
Mhm.
maybe 45 days.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You really want to have your business in order. Um, Cardinal Jones is on the line. Let's go ahead and Cardinal Jones, how are you?
I'm doing good. I got a doozy.
And you've got what?
I got a good one. Hey Virgil.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Hey Herbert.
Hey there, corner.
Hey Virgil.
Yeah.
A guy gets killed. Okay. The killer is the beneficiary. The dead guy has a 401k. As a matter of fact, he got two of them. He has
Don't think you're gonna be
three
getting into that.
half brothers. Three half brothers. Three. All three of them got the same daddy, different mama.
Oh,
His
Okay.
mother is deceased. His father is deceased. The killer is the beneficiary. New York life insurance will not release any money. Okay, the insurance on the workplace will not release any money at all. What is
Yeah.
the next step?
Well, they're certainly going to have to. I guess there's no will, huh?
No will. And on top of that, he just bought a brand new Mercedes, paid cash for it.
Well,
oh my.
definitely going to have to go into probate court, and one of them, not the shooter, not the killer, but one of them is going to
So
have
he's
to.
in jail. The
Yeah.
killer's in jail.
Okay. Well, one of the others is going to have to apply uh, to the probate court to be administrator of the estate, so they can sort through all of the property that he owned. But as far as the insurance is concerned, you're not you're not going to be able to benefit from a life insurance policy naming you as a beneficiary
Mm.
and you kill the person.
Right.
That's not going to happen. So that's going to be taken care of. That's going to be a fairly easy one there. But the other part is they're going to one of them's going to have one of the brothers there going to have to go into probate court and get appointed as the administrator, and then again work through all of that property situation. And I strongly suggest that they get an attorney that handles estate and probate cases to get them through that, because that's probably going to be real sticky.
Well, I recommended
Real
Joe Bryce
sticky.
first, my first choice, and then Chuck Lamper, my second one. So, but it as you say, it is a mess.
Yeah, that is.
It's a mess.
Let me tell you all about one other issue too. And really, what I talked to the folks Saturday with the NAACP meeting about was wills and that sort of thing, because it's an important aspect that we all need to know about. But also another area that I see quite often where we kind of misstep a little bit, and I want to make sure people understand this. Automobile insurance. And we deal with that a lot, because when somebody's injured, we always looking to look at the other person's insurance and then the client's insurance, that sort of thing. All right, in Georgia, I think everybody knows that we got to have liability insurance. You got to have insurance, at least $25,000 worth of liability insurance, in order to drive a car in Georgia. And what the liability insurance does is, if you cause a wreck, it pays the person that you injured or whose car you damaged up to the limits of your insurance. So if you look at your insurance policy, what we call deck page or declaration page, it'll have on there bodily injury, and it may say 2550. That just means that the most they'll pay to any one person who's injured in a wreck that you caused is 25,000. The most that they would pay totally, for example, if there are other people injured, would be 50. You can get medical payments coverage, but what I want to talk to you about really two issues. One primarily is what we call uninsured motorist coverage. Sometimes we refer to it as underinsured motorist coverage because what it does, it covers you when someone hits you and causes an injury to you when either they don't have any insurance or enough insurance. So it's real important to have uninsured motorist coverage. But there are two kinds. And maybe before I get into the two kinds, let me tell you what happens. Let's say someone hits you. You suffer a broken back, broken leg, real significant injuries, and that person has no insurance. You can pretty much assume that if they got no insurance, they got no assets. Mm-hmm. And filing suit would just be a futility. So if there's no insurance, no matter how bad you're hurt, there's nothing you're going to be able to get. As they say, you can't get blood from a turnip. So that's it. But let's say you have uninsured motorist coverage. And again, here's where the two kinds come in. There's one kind that we call traditional uninsured motorist coverage, or less than. Some people refer to it as that. And the way it works is if you got uninsured motorist coverage, to the extent that that coverage is more than the liability coverage of the person that caused your injury, you can get it. We also refer to it as difference in limits. So let's take same kind of wreck. You got a bad injuries, that sort of thing. Let's say the person had no insurance, but you have $100,000 in uninsured motorist coverage. Well, you can go under your own policy, your uninsured motorist coverage, and get $100,000. Let's say that person had $25,000 of liability coverage, and you had uninsured motorist coverage, the traditional kind, the difference in limits kind. You just simple do subtraction. You got 100, he had 25. You can get his 25 and then get 75 from yours, difference in limits. Okay, so you can get a total of $100,000. But the more modern kind of uninsured motorist coverage is what we call add-on, and it does exactly what it says. It adds on to what the person who caused the wreck and injured you has. So same example, let's say you got $100,000 in uninsured motorist coverage, but it's add-on, and the other person has 25. You can get his 25 plus 100 from your insurance company. So rather than having 100 with the difference in limits kind and traditional kind, you can get $125,000. This insurance is relatively cheap. Everybody needs to have it because, I mean, I've seen so many situations where people are injured and the person that injured them has absolutely no insurance. I've seen drunk drivers cause wrecks. They have no insurance at all. They've been in wrecks before. They've been arrested for DUI before. They have no insurance. And then the person who's injured has zero uninsured motorist coverage. So that's one. If you don't have it, you need to get it. You need to get it. And you can get the same uninsured motorist coverage limits that you can get in your bodily injury limits. And when you get insurance, they have to offer it to you. If they don't offer it to you and give you an opportunity to reject it, then if you come to us and you don't have it, but you say, hey, they never told me about it. If that's the case, we can make them treat it like you did have it. But you don't need to go through that. If you get it, you won't have that problem. The other piece of insurance too, you all need to think about, a lot of you may have it, is what we call gap insurance.
Yeah, I learned about
what people really get frustrated about, and you know, some of you all may have unfortunately been in this situation. Somebody hits your car, especially, you know, it's a brand new car, you just got it.
Somebody hit David.
Somebody hits it. You know, when you drive off the lot, the value of that car does what? Starts to go down. So let's say they hit you, you got it financed. What they are required by law to pay you is the fair market value of your car. And typically, it's not going to be worth what you owe on it. So in that case, if you don't have gap insurance, you're going to be what we call upside down. You're going to owe more money on a car than it's worth. And I've even seen situations where the car is totaled and they pay you the fair market value, but you owe several $1,000s on it. So can you imagine that situation where you're out of a brand new car, you got to get another car, but now you got to pay off that first one. And what a lot of people I've seen do, because they may not have that money to pay the other one off, they roll the balance into the new car, so you just kind of stay upside down. Okay. But if you have gap insurance, it does exactly what it says. It fills in the gap so that you don't be upside down in that situation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Erica.
Yeah.
I know you primarily deal with personal injuries.
Yeah.
What happened? What should a person do if he's hit in a car wreck? What's the first thing you should do? Some people talk too much, I think, say things they shouldn't say.
Yeah.
That hurt themselves later. Could you tell us something about that?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing, typically if someone else hadn't called a police officer, you need to. I don't trust you get out of the car, everybody look at the car, oh, no problem, and you go, because sometimes there's issue with your car that you can't just
Call
see.
the popo.
And then you don't have a report or anything like that. So I said, first of all, make sure there's a report and you got all that. If you're injured, that needs to be your foremost concern. Get into a hospital or a doctor to get some treatment for your injury. I would love to say, like some people say on TV, oh, soon as you get hurt, call me. Nah, I just be up front. Don't call me as soon as you're hurt. Take care of yourself and your business first. Then call me, okay? And then we can handle the case for you.
Yeah.
What about making statements?
Give a statement to the police because they're doing their investigation. You want to cooperate with them. But beyond that, no. And you may subsequently get a call from the insurance company for the other person. Do not talk to them. Your insurance company, you have to cooperate with and give them statements. But as far as anybody else with the other insurance company, no, don't talk to them, because insurance companies are in the business of saving money.
They're not going to tell you what you need to hear. Look, audience, those who've tuned in on AM, FM, welcome. You're listening to Ask Elaine. We're just so happy to have you there, getting smarter. We do this every Wednesday from 3 until 4. We get smarter because we have experts. We have community folks who come in and give us information that we need to know. And this information on wills and trust and insurance, all of that is vital information that will help you. It will help you. You get smarter and you can share it with everybody else. We want to thank those of you who are on AM, FM, and also those who are right here on the Glory Live watching. And we encourage you to call in. Our call-in number is 478-250-1444. We have folks in the chat who are sharing questions and information. Randy Crawford says this is a great show. We were wondering where you were, Randy Crawford, and all the others. Y'all please hit like and share to remind those folks who have already missed out on half of the show. Remind them that they need to be tuned in to Ask Elaine. We want to welcome LJ Malone, and he and his I'm not going to say that. His best friend, Tia, are on from 5:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday afternoon. They follow us. They're trying to catch up, Herbert. They're trying to catch up with us. We want to welcome them because they are truly community minded. Good afternoon to you, too. And this is indeed a wonderful place to be. It's where you need to be. So let other folks know. Tina Denard is on with us. She says, good info. So, your fiance, excuse me, LJ. I just couldn't get the words right. Yeah, anyway,
So,
our
Bert,
very special guest, our co-host is none other than the Mr. Herbert Denard, and our very special guest is none other than world-renowned attorney Virgil Adams, who's Macon native, and he has made us proud. I remember years ago, I think one of your first cases in the DA's office, where the TV station showed your closing statement with the bat.
Yeah,
You remember the bat?
yeah, that
And
was
you
Keith.
broke the bat on the. I mean,
It
it
was
was
Keith.
dramatic.
he was
But
dramatic, huh?
Yeah, that was Keith Patillo. He was a young man killed a young lady who had just graduated from Mount DeSales. Killed her down in an old okra field below Luther Williams Central City Park down there, and he killed her by beating her to death with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So that,
and I don't
back then.
intend to make light of that, but I just remember the drama, and it illustrates that good attorneys have to get their case made before a jury that's going to decide. That's why I always tell folks who are listening in to us, you ought to be proud to be called for jury duty.
Yep.
Because if you're the one or someone you love is going before the jury, you want to have a group of folks that at least will listen to everything that everybody says and render a decision that's fair to you. But I hear people all the time talking about, I don't want to go to jury duty. They go and say somebody's sick. They go and say they got a doctor's appointment. They go and say, I don't think I can make a fair decision. When you know that if you were on trial, you would want a jury of your peers. I sure do want, wouldn't you, Herbert?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. And we're going to get back to the discussion that we've been in today on wills and trusts and insurance. All of this has just been great. And we welcome all of you to ask questions, to call in if you want to. Herbert, you have the next question.
Yes. How long have you been practicing law?
How long have I been practicing? Oh, I started, let me put it this way. I started in the DA's office after graduating from law school in the fall of 1980. And I stayed there really until the end of 87. So I started practice January of 88. So what was like 47 years? God, man, I hate you asking
Oh,
that.
my.
But yeah, we went into private practice then. So yeah, it's been that long. But it's
That's a wonderful thing.
I
It's
know-
longevity.
I
Yeah.
know you was an attorney for the Water Authority. I know you was an attorney for the county commissioners. What
Yeah.
other kind of law practice you engaged in?
Probably, I when I first went into private practice, having been a prosecutor, I did quite a bit of criminal defense. I don't really do the criminal defense now. Sometimes someone will call me and say, "Hey, my son, my daughter, I know, hey, can you help me?" And I may do that, but mainly right now, what I do is the personal injury, the medical negligence cases. The cases where there's nursing home abuse. We do cases involving bad products, product liability, and then the automobile accident cases too, the tractor trailer cases. All those we do primarily what I do, the personal injury cases. But I do try to help people where I can. So sometimes I'll do some other things. I've done.
So you really don't do a lot of wills.
No, I don't, because again, I think that's something that's better suited for someone who does that all day, every day. So what I do is I've got a list, a real short list that I can refer people to that I know these attorneys will do a great job, and that's what they do. And we get them involved in our personal injury cases when there's a death involved and we need an estate set up. We get them involved. So that's what I do. You know, it used to be a time with lawyers. You go to a lawyer, and it was anything and everything that you had going on, that lawyer would do. But we've become so sophisticated now, so technologically savvy.
Specialized.
So it's you can't do everything and try to do everything well. So that's why you see lawyers specializing now.
Right. We want to go to some of the items that have been posted in the chat. Patrick says, while wills and revocable trusts do not directly protect assets from nursing home costs or Medicaid, what are your thoughts about an irrevocable trust, specifically a Medicaid asset protection trust, as a way of asset protection planning related to long-term care? Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And without getting too deep involved into that factor, that's a great question.
It
And I
is.
think with the probate attorneys that we use, I know they create these trusts and situations so when a person dies, all of their estate doesn't wind up going to Medicaid. Sometimes Medicaid, even in personal injury cases, they'll want you to do a set aside trust, because, by law, Medicaid has a right to get paid back. But I know the lawyers that we refer people to, they do what we call elder care as well, so that they can put together a trust or documents that would allow you to safeguard some of your assets. But because you raise a real good question, especially when you're looking at dealing with nursing homes and that sort of thing. And one other thing about nursing homes just reminds me that comes up too, and it's kind of like something that you have a hard time getting around. It's sort of like you got to deal with it. But if you have any loved one that has had to go into a nursing facility, they get you to sign a ton of paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
And in that paperwork is going to be what's called a waiver of arbitration agreement. I mean, waiver of trial. It's an arbitration agreement. And basically what it says is if there's any kind of dispute, then that dispute is going to be resolved through arbitration, not a jury trial. And sometimes we can get around that, but just kind of pay attention to those things. They all have them in there because they'd rather, if they go in and there's an abuse kind of situation or a neglect kind of situation, they'd rather be in front of an arbitrator as opposed to a jury, as Elaine says, of your peers.
I'd like to say something about the vacant houses that are being torn down because there's not an owner. Is it possible because that happens because somebody didn't have a will?
Oh yeah, I can tell you, if you look in the paper on Saturday, you look in the legal section, and they'll have tax sales or sheriff sales. Most of those properties, I bet, are going to be absentee owners, properties where there was no will. Heirs may be outside of Macon, so nothing's been done, and they just sit there. And they will either be sold for taxes. Someone can come in and on the courthouse step, first Tuesday in the month, they bid on that, they get it, and they turn around and flip it or rent it, and it becomes
jack the rent up.
Out of it becomes a profitable situation for them. So what we call heir property.
Because there's no will.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of folks' homes, their home house. A lot of folks are losing their properties, and these companies from New York, wherever, are coming in, buying these properties cheap, and they're, like you say, they're flipping them, and then they're jacking up the rents, and the rents are horrible.
Yeah.
The average family cannot afford the rent, so every 2 months, then you got a new tenant coming in. You got that pile of junk on the street where they cleaned it out. Then you've got a new tenant who's going to be there 2 or 3 months. So that's a real problem. And I applaud planning and zoning for their housing study and surveys that they're involved in now, because we asked for this a few months ago that there be, and I didn't know they were going to do a housing study, but they're looking at all the housing to determine what's needed in Macon Bibb. And we have an awful lot of people who, for them, housing isn't affordable. So I applaud them, and we'll keep you notified of when there's an opportunity for additional information. I told you, you get smart. You watch Ask Elaine. Our special guest today, our co-host, is none other than my sidekick, Mr. Herbert Denard, and we appreciate him being here. But our very special guest is none other than attorney Virgil Adams, who's been talking about wills and trust. And I'm going to quickly, since we're running, we always run out of time. But anyway, Patrick, we answered his question on the assets protection trust.
I will mention this too.
Go ahead.
Kind of getting back to Herbert's question about the houses that are sold, air property and taxes. You know, there are situations too where people have houses and they don't pay the taxes, and they get sold on the courthouse step. There are people whose sole business is to come in and buy those properties, and then let's say your property gets sold, and you say, "Oh man, I can't let my house get sold," and you want to redeem it, you want to buy it. You got to buy it back, but you have to pay them. I think it's like a 20% premium,
and it's within a certain period of time
to get it back.
too.
So you got those kind of issues you need to be aware of out there too.
Yeah. I tell you, it's something else. What if someone is injured while riding in an Uber or Lyft? What are your rights and the steps to take to ensure you receive proper medical care and compensation?
Yeah. It's the same as if you were in any other car. If you're injured because of negligence of the Uber driver, then you got a claim against them. Now they can be real tricky, and we've had several cases, dealing with rideshare providers. So yeah, we handle those and we take those through. But you're entitled to the same rights as you would otherwise be entitled to if you were not riding in a rideshare.
Okay, Herbert, you have another question?
I think that he probably denied. Virgil Adams is probably one of the best attorneys in Macon.
Yeah.
And he's been around. I know he's going to say no. But he's been around. He's worked in all kind of law firms. I mean, worked in his law firm, but he worked in all kind of cases.
I'll tell you something else that he has done. And my son, our son, Leonard Traveler Lucas Sr. is on listening. He says good info. He's also an entertainment attorney because he was our son's attorneys when they were negotiating contracts with the Professional Football League.
So he know that.
Yeah, he was their attorney, and he worked to get Al got a little trouble one time, had this loud music, and the police came to our yard, and
I remember,
just took him through a whole lot of changes. This man does not play, and even though he's in personal injury, he can handle some other stuff too. But y'all, he doesn't work free, so we're not going. We're going to put that out there. He does not work free. Ronaldo Scott, who is the local president of the Democratic Party, very significant organization in these times because cities are being taken over. Folks are being taken over. Rights are being trampled on. Ronaldo says, good afternoon. Awesome information to help the community. And what we want everybody to do is to take this program and share it. Every one of you, please help us to share this information. And if you are in need of an attorney, somebody was asking, somebody said they didn't know that you were a personal injury attorney. I don't know who that was. Yeah. Wade says he didn't realize you do medical malpractice.
Yeah.
What do you need to have a good malpractice case of medical? That's a long discussion, Wade.
Yeah.
We don't have but about 6 minutes
Yeah.
left. You want to
Yeah.
just give him one or two little
Yeah.
tidbits and then.
I just tell you what you have to do. You have to have a situation where a medical provider, doctor, nurse, hospital, whatever, either did something or failed to do something that any like doctor or nurse would have done in the same or similar situation. And what that means is that they fell below the standard of care, what another doctor or nurse would have done in the same or similar circumstances. Got to have that. That's called liability, proven fault. And then two, you got to have damages. What happened to you? And it's got to be pretty significant, because with medical malpractice cases, you can't just go file them like you can a wreck. If there's a car wreck today, I can get the accident report and just file a lawsuit tomorrow. But with medical negligence cases, you have to have an affidavit from another medical professional who practices in the same field, same specialty as the one that you're claiming committed negligence. So let's say if it's a heart doctor, cardiologist, you have to have an affidavit from another cardiologist. Orthopedic surgeon, a nurse, another nurse, or it could be a doctor. And you have to file that affidavit with the lawsuit. And what that affidavit would say is that they looked at all the medical records and they point out acts of negligence on behalf of the doctor or the nurse or whatever the case may be. In other words, they point out what they did or did not do that fell below the standard of care. That is what other doctors or nurses would have done in the same or similar circumstances. So you have to have that, and then you have another expert that that proves what the harm was or what caused the harm. But to file it, you got to have that affidavit that sets forth at least one act of negligence.
Don't a lot of them folks stick together?
That's why you get experts that are not from around here. You get an expert that has nothing to do with the case, don't know anybody, and typically, we'll get. Sometimes, we can get experts out within the state, but more often than not, they come from outside of the state.
All right, Bradley James has joined us. Good afternoon to you. And everybody's saying this is just awesome information. We're going to have you back. We're not going to bug you every week, but we're going to bug you every 4 weeks, maybe. Something like that.
That's what I'm here
Patrick
for.
says, what are your thoughts about the lack of diversity in Superior Court judges in Central and South Georgia? And I think that has come up before, especially rural areas. Are you hopeful more Black attorneys will qualify in March 2026? That's not far off, y'all.
I like Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I am hopeful, and I know you see it in these small towns, and you go there and you don't see anybody in the courthouse in any position that look like us. And that's from sheriff all the way up to
district attorney,
judges.
Judges.
And I think the judicial system ought to reflect what the community looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Water board does too, and I'll just throw that out there.
I think that's something we that needs to be worked on. And we actually had a conversation with Elaine Herbert and some others on Saturday about addressing that, and that is to not only identify Black attorneys in the area, but maybe have a meeting, maybe talk about start grooming some people to be ready to step into these kinds of positions. But that's real important.
Right. And if people are interested, they need to let it be known. And you got to show that you have an interest in this community. Because I've said before, I'm not supporting you if I can't tell, if it is not obvious that you have a concern for the community. You can't step up today and say, oh, I've been involved and I see no signs of that. So if you want people to recognize your leadership ability and all of that, as with anything else, step up and start doing something now. So we older folks who vote, because a lot of folks don't vote, but we older, more mature folks, we vote in huge numbers, and we want to support you, but you got to show some signs. What old folks say? You got to show me some signs. Is that what it is?
That sounds right.
Herbert,
I don't
Herbert,
like you keep using the word old folk.
more mature folks.
I like that better.
We're about to run out of time. We would just like to say thank you so very much. If you've tuned in on AM or FM or right here on the Glory Live, we want to thank you. We want to thank our co-host, Mr. Denard. We want to thank our fabulous guest, Attorney Adams, who, by the way, nodded his head when we asked him if he would be returning. But we're not gonna bug you all the time. But this kind of information from people we trust is invaluable, and we're gonna bring it to you. We hope that you've enjoyed Ask Elaine today. Our time is up, but thank you all so much for tuning in. Meantime, this is your voice, former commissioner, now Waterbird member Elaine Lucas. We'll see you again next Wednesday, 3 p.m. for another edition of Ask Elaine.
Break.